Hi everybody, in today's lesson we're going to be talking about a type of non-verbal reasoning called odd one out, okay? So the idea today, what I really want us to focus on, and at the risk of sounding a bit like I'm contradicting myself, um, I know that speed is really important. We've spoken about this a few times, but today let's just master the technique. Okay, so don't worry, don't rush to be the first one that's finished, or don't worry if you're taking a bit too long, because really it's important that we know how to find the answer to questions. Otherwise, speed is pretty useless, isn't it? Like if we're getting it wrong but being very quick, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's more important we get it correct. Then when our technique is amazing, we can start being faster and faster. Okay, so don't worry too much about speed today. Okay, let's just get our technique right. Now we're doing a type of non-verbal reasoning called odd one out. I know we've spoken about this in the past, but such is it how common it is. We need to make sure that we constantly remind ourselves of it. And you won't be surprised to learn that it's easier to solve if we take into account snaps. Yeah, snaps is so helpful for all sorts of types of non-verbal reasoning. Okay, snaps. Ooh, too big. Let me make it a little bit smaller. There we go, snaps. Okay, right, so let me go through my list. I'm hoping that we can all remember what SNAP stands for now. Let's start with, where's my list? Let's start with, okay, Annabelle. Annabelle, what does the S in, sorry, the top S, the first S in SNAP stand for?
I think it's shape.
It is indeed, it's shape. Perfect, Annabelle. Um, Ava, what does the N stand for?
Number.
Perfect, number. Scarlett, what does the A stand for?
Probably my favorite one, angle.
Your favourite one. Who doesn't love a good angle? Perfect, Scarlett. Let's go to... Oh, wait, let me unplug something really quickly. There we go. All right, let's go to Alexa.
Um, Position.
Yes, fantastic. Position. Let's go... Perfect, Alexa. Let's go to Jacob. Jacob, what is one of the other remaining S's stands for?
One is size.
Size. Fantastic. And finally, let's go to George S. George S, what is the final S?
Shading.
Shading. Fantastic. All right. So, next person, Himani. Why do we bother with snaps? What's the point of all these words? What do they help us achieve?
They help us achieve, like, if we were doing, if we were looking at the odd one out, we would need the shape and the angles. The odd one out, which is the odd one out of the shapes, so you
Yeah.
would know which shape we have to get rid of, and the size.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so like Himani said, the idea of snaps is these are all the things to look for. There really isn't anything else, right? In other words, once you've considered shape, number, angle, position, size, and shading, we've exhausted all of the things that we could possibly notice about an object or an image, okay? And Snaps applies itself to most types of non-verbal reasoning, so it's very, very handy to become familiar with, okay? So I'll do the first one all by myself as usual. I know it's really tempting to do it yourself, but what I'd rather you do is just watch me do it, okay? Even if you think know the answer, just watch me do it, because you will have ones to do all by yourself. And I don't want you to miss this, right? So, remember what we said at the beginning, guys. Let's not rush today, okay? We know speed's important, and we know that when we're in an exam, we're going to make sure that we're as quick as possible. But I just want to make sure our technique is correct, okay? So let's do this one kind of together. I'll kind of lead it, but I might ask you a few questions, right? Now, let me ask Gersima, and by the way, what I'm about to ask you, I've never said, I don't think I've ever told you the answer, so I think this is more of an opinion, Gersima. Gersima, I would argue that we shouldn't consider snaps straight away. I think what we should do is look at the images first before we think of snaps. Why do you think I say that, Gersima?
Because sometimes, like in odd one out, you can maybe just see straight away without doing snaps.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly right. Sometimes what happens, especially in questions like odd one out, like Gersima said, um, I might look at the question, I might look at these images to find the odd one out, and it might just jump out at me. I might just see it. It happens sometimes, right? But if I instead think, all right, I'm only going to look at the shapes first, then I'm only going to look at the number first, then I'm going to look at the angle, and it turns out that shading is the only thing involved, I've wasted quite a lot of time there, okay? So the idea is that we try to look for things just by using, literally glancing at them, and only refer to snaps if it becomes really tricky and we don't really know what to look for, okay? So maybe you've seen something, right? But let's pretend we haven't. We're going to see how snaps works, right? So we're going to pretend that we don't know what the answer is. So maybe you don't know what the answer is, okay? But if you do, forget it. Pretend that you don't know, and let's use snaps to find the answer, right? So the way it works is I would start off with shape and consider all of the shapes, and is there anything that I notice that makes one odd? In other words, do 4 of them have something in common that excludes one of them? So the most obvious thing for me is to look at the outside shape, right? So we've got this quadrilateral, we've got a square. Okay, square, okay. Then we've got a shape, let's count the sides very carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got a 6-sided shape, we've got a hexagon. So we've got a square, we've got a hexagon. Then we've got a triangle. Okay, then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got an octagon. I wonder if anyone knows the name of this shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got a 7-sided shape. Did I count that correctly? That felt really wrong. Let me try again, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 7, 6, 7. Does anyone know what a 7-sided shape is called? Okinari, do you know what a 7-sided shape is called?
A heptagon?
Very good. Fantastic. Okay, so as we read through those shape names, they're all different. So in that respect, we might say they're all odds, but of course we're looking for one that's odd. So we know that the outside shape isn't really influencing the answer. It's not a factor in the answer because they're all odd in that respect, which means we need to find something else. Okay. Now there are more shapes to consider. We've got circles, haven't we? But they've all got circles. Circles here, circles there, circles there, circles there, circles there. So there's nothing odd about those. And you might argue that the lines at the bottom can be considered shapes. Okay, fine. But they've all got lines as well. So already I'm thinking that shape isn't going to be too helpful here. That's when I'd move on to the next factor, the next part of snaps, which is number. Okay. Now number, we need to think about what are the things that we can count. So let's have some volunteers. Let's go back around our list. Annabelle, tell me something that we can quantify, something that we can count.
We could count how many circles are in the outside shape.
Okay, we can count the circles. Annabelle, actually, let me ask someone else. Ava, I could count the circles. I think Annabelle's right. I think we should do that. Do you think it's worth me counting the black circles and the white circles independently, or should I count them all together?
All together.
All together. Okay, let's count them all together, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 6. We've got 7, I believe, 7 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 7 here. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. If the others have 7, then 6 would be the odd one out, wouldn't it? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, this has got 6. Okay. And this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So we were close to finding an odd one out, but we haven't found an odd one out because we have 7, 7, 6, 6, 7, 6, 7. Right? So I'm going to go to Scarlett. Scarlett, I'm not convinced that I'm done with number because I think that, those circles that I just counted, There might be another way of counting them. What do you think?
Um, First you can try the shaded circles.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if that doesn't work, then you can try the non-shaded circles.
All right. So this is exactly what we do. So Ava said we should count them all together at first. Perfect. Because we could have found the answer. In this case, we didn't. So now let's be a bit more specific, right? Let's count the shaded circles and the white circles, right? So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 shaded and 2 white. I'm going to put the shaded on the left and the white on the right. Here I've got 4 shaded and I've got 3 white. Here I've got 4 shaded and I've got 2 white. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shaded and I've got 1 white. Here I've got 3 shaded and I've got 4 white. So 5, 2, 4, 3, 4, 2, 5, 1, 3, 4. I've noticed something. I've noticed an odd one out. I wonder if you guys have. Jacob W, have you noticed something odd about one of them?
So, for the white ones, I realised that, let's start with A. I thought A was, so I looked at it like this. I looked at the lines below 3 and it matched the number of white
Hold
sides.
on. Sorry, Jacob, before you go any further, we're not on the lines just yet. I understand, but let's do this.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Let's do a system here, just so, because I want to show how Snaps works. I think we don't have to look at the lines. I think there's something to talk about with what we just worked out, the shaded and the white. Can you see anything odd, Jacob, about one of them?
I can see that one of them has a one of them doesn't have like
Do you know? Is there anything that's different to one of them? 4 of them must have something in common, and one must have is not that doesn't have that thing.
so all the others, the white is the like 3 and like 2 and 1 and 4 and 2.
Let me.
No, there's nothing odd.
No, all right, nothing odd. Okay, I'll give you a clue, guys. There is. We've just got to look really carefully. George, do you notice something that makes one of them odd? One of them's different. Look at what we just did. We just counted the shaded and the white. Look at those numbers really carefully. Don't worry about how long this takes, guys. This could take an hour. I just want to make sure that we look very carefully at every feature. George, did you notice anything? No? Gersima?
Mommy, what's
What?
go?
So I think that for them, I think that E's the odd one out because in all the shapes except for E, they have more black circles than the white circles, but in E, it has more whites than black.
Amazing. Very good. And that's why, guys, we need to be precise and particular with our working out with snaps. We need to look at everything. And I know what a couple of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, you're not supposed to be taking this long on a non-verbal reasoning question, but I promise you, the more we do this, the easier and quicker it becomes. You'll just see these things if you keep practicing. So don't worry about how long it's taking us right now. It's worth the time. As Gersima said, when we broke it down into black and white circles, we've got more black circles than white circles here, more black circles and white circles here, more black circles than white circles here, more black circles than white circles here. Here, we've got fewer black circles than white circles. That's odd. So, let me go back round and quickly ask Annabelle a question. Annabelle, I'm going to pretend to be a student. Are you ready? And I want you to be the teacher. Ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, Annabelle, I'm going to say, yeah, I know that there are fewer black ones than white ones in E, but that might not be what the question's looking for. There might be something else that's odd about them. How might you respond to me?
It's E because as we look together, it says that all four of them have to have a relationship and one of them doesn't. So I still think it's E because, like you said, there's more black circles than white circles.
Yeah, okay, but let me go to Ava. Ava, what if a student says, yeah, but that might not be what the exam's looking for. It could be looking for something else.
But what else is there? Because nothing. No other four have a relationship in any other way.
Perfect. Yeah, like Annabelle never said, you found a relationship. You found one, right? If there is something else, that means it's a trick question, doesn't it? If there's something else that ties together four of them and gives us a new answer, that would be an unfair question. That won't happen. Okay? So the fact that you found, like Annabelle and Ava said, the fact that you found a relationship between four of those images means you have found the relationship. Okay? Alright, so well done, guys. Very good. Now it's your turn to do it all by yourself. So I'm going to show you a new question. Please don't go straight to snaps, right? Just see if you can see anything that jumps out at you. If you can't, then you can consider snaps. And let me know in the chat box what you think the answer is, okay? You ready? 3, 2, 1. Guys, if you're sending emojis, please don't, because it does distract people. I can't see it myself, but it's not fair to distract others, okay? So if you're sending like floating emojis, please don't. Who's that? Yes, Theo, very good. Izzy, you're correct. You're correct. Have confidence. Very good. Well done, Thomas. Well done, Scarlett. Well done, Oscar. All right. If I've said to you, well done, that means you're correct. Can you write like yes in the chat box if you feel comfortable explaining it? Because I don't want to ask you if it's going to put you on the spot. But you have to have got it right, guys, okay? Okay, shall we? I think that's all right if you don't want to. I think Scarlett was first to say yes. All right, Scarlett, help us with this one. You are correct. So you said B. Why is B correct?
So I realized something. I didn't straight away turn to snaps. The first thing I did was just look. And so what I looked, so A and B and C and D. So C and D, it's kind of like a symmetrical image. But we can rule out E because it doesn't have a partner. So, but then A and B, it's not symmetrical. So then we need to decide between A and B. So what I realized that if E did have a partner, the white circle would be on the inside. And then if you go backwards, it would be on the outside. So then B is continuing that instead of changing. So then it has to be B.
I really like, I actually really like the way you got to your answer, but there's actually another way to get to the answer, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, cool. Do you want to see if one other person, guys, I can't choose you if you didn't say the B, okay? Because I don't want to put you in the spot like that. I'm just going to look for someone else really quickly who said yes they want to. Sorry guys, bear with me. I don't think there's anyone else, so I might have to go through it. Oh, Theo. All right, we'll give it to Theo, guys, and then if he doesn't say the way that I found it, then I will explain it. Okay, let's go to Theo. Theo, why are you not in the chat? I can't unmute you because there you are. All right, here we go, Theo. What do you reckon? How did you get to your answer?
I think it's B because I looked at the shapes and then I saw that A and E have the white circle with the line that is on the top, and then C and D are facing down, and they have the white circle and the line going down. And then I thought it would be B because B white circle and with the line isn't on the first one, it's on the second.
Yes, amazing. Very, very well noticed here. That's fantastic. And it's like what Scarlett said. That Scarlett, you went full science mode, which is brilliant, and got the answer. But let me just clarify what Theo. Although his explanation was brilliant, I'll just explain again if you're a bit confused. So what Theo was saying is that there's a rule here. If we have a black triangle on the top, then we must have a white circle on top. If we have a black triangle at the bottom, sorry, facing downwards I should say, not the bottom, facing downwards, then we should have a white circle at the top, right? The fact that 4 of them follow that rule and 1 of them doesn't is a relationship. Triangle facing up means white at the top. Triangle facing down means white at the bottom. I know it looks like it's at the top, but it's at the bottom if we consider the triangle at the top. B doesn't do this. B has a triangle at the top, but the black circle is at the top. Yeah? So let me just really quickly, for those that might still be a bit confused, let's get rid of these 2 for now, right? Take a look at those 3. They all have a triangle facing upwards, or pointing upwards. 2 of them have a white circle at the top. The other 2 follow the rule that if a triangle is facing downwards, then white's at the bottom. Yeah, I know it looks like they're at the top, but they're at the bottom because the triangles have been rotated, haven't they? All right, well done, guys. Let's move on to the next one. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Perfect, Theo. Perfect, Gosima. Perfect, Oscar. Perfect, Thomas. If I say perfect in your name, write yes if you want to explain it, yeah? Right, I think Jacob W was first. Perfect, Thomas. No, that's correct, Scarlett. Very good. All right, 15 seconds. Perfect, Charlie. Perfect, Okianari. All right, if I never said your name, do not worry. Just take a look at the explanation. Let's go for Jacob. Where are you, Jacob? Where are you? There you are. All right, Jacob. What did you notice?
I noticed. So first, I looked at number because I knew there was hex. So let's look at the first like actual shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a hexagon. Let's look at the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's also a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's also a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's also a hexagon. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're all hexagons. So you know it's not number. Then I looked at shading because I knew like that there's one
Hold on.
shade and one not.
Jacob, go to the pick the thing from Snaps that relates to the question. So
Okay.
it's great.
It's the thing is position.
Yeah.
So for the first one, you have to look at the like. So for the first, it was easier to start for D for me. So then I'll go. So it was easier to bond.
Jacob, just try and tell us the thing that makes one of them
Okay, so
different.
it's on the bottom. So we know on the shading, there's like 2 on the top. On the bottom left, there's 1, 2. If you move C around, it's also on the bottom left. If you move B around, it's also on the bottom left. And if you move A around, it's also on the bottom left. But if you moved E around, it'll be on the bottom right. So
Perfect.
it has to be E.
Yeah, very good. So you spoke about angle, which is snaps. You spoke about precision, which is snaps. And also, I like the fact that you spoke about how you started off looking at a number, looking at a shading. Yeah, so if you were a bit confused by that, guys, right? This is the best thing. This is the best way to look at it. Let's imagine that these are little animals, like little rabbits or something. And you see these things? They're like the ears, okay? If we imagined that the ears are always at the top, in other words, do you see C? Let's rotate it round so that the ears are at the top. And you see B? Let's rotate it all the way 180 degrees so the ears are at the top. You see A? Let's rotate it slightly this way, about 45 degrees so that the ears are at the top. And you see this one? Let's rotate it this way so that the ears are at the top. Now, you've got to do some mental sort of visualizing here in your head, right? You've got to imagine if all of them are standing up, in other words, if all of them have their ears pointing upwards, where would that leg be? Look at D. Let's call this a leg, right? It's in the bottom left. Now, if you imagine C has its ears pointing upwards, this would be at the bottom left. You've got to imagine this, guys. You've got to try and rotate it in your head. We can't pick the shape up and move it. We have to get better at making sure we can sort of rotate it in our heads, yeah? B, if you imagine turning it upside down so that the ears are at the top, then that would be in the bottom left. This one, if we rotate it ever so slightly so the ears are at the top, that leg would be in the bottom left. But on E, if we rotate that so the ears are pointing upwards, we have our leg on the bottom right. So that makes it the odd one out. Okay, so hopefully if you didn't get it correct, you understood that explanation. Okay. All right, ready for another one? Give this one a go. Okay, 15 seconds. All right, let's have a look for your answers. Perfect Izzy. Perfect Thomas. Perfect Gersima. Yep, Gersima, you can explain this one. Perfect Charlie. Perfect Ava. Perfect Alexa. Perfect Jacob. Perfect Annabelle. Perfect Oscar. Perfect George. All right, shall we go through it? I think we should go through it. All right, this one's a bit of a tricky one. Until the thing with non-verbal reasoning is until you see it, right? Until you see the thing that makes it different, it's tricky, right? Because we've got so many things that look the same on the screen, we don't know where to start. Hence, snaps, right? So let's go to Gersima to see what he noticed, because he is correct. Where's Gersima on the list? There we go. All right, Gersima, what did you notice?
So I noticed that the white shape is half of the bigger white shape with the dotted line in the middle, whereas the black tiny shape is just a smaller version of the dotted line shape. So we need to see which ones have half of the shape as the white one above. So for A, that tiny white shape is half of the square, so we don't need to cross that out. And for B, we know that the tiny white shape is half of the circle, so that's fine. And for C, the triangle is half of the dotted triangle, so we know that that isn't it. But for D, the shape, the right one, isn't half of the hexagon.
Yes.
And so we know that's a D.
Amazing. What a brilliant explanation. Fantastic. Guys, I think I can still see some floating emojis. Please stop. Make sure you stop sending the floating emojis. You won't be able to participate in these lessons anymore, okay? You really need to stop because it's not fair on people that being distracted. Okay, so for anyone that's a bit confused by that, even though that was a brilliant explanation, just in a nutshell, what Gersima said is the black shape is always a smaller version of the shape with the line through it. Yeah? Always. In every single case. The black shape is a smaller version of the larger white shape. Now, none of them are odd in that respect. But then what Gersima said is the white shape is half. Yeah? So this white shape here that I'm pointing to is half. Let's call it the main shape for convenience. Yeah? Half of the main shape. This is half of the main shape. This is half of the main shape. This, we'll go straight to E, is half of the main shape. But this one, it looks like half at first. You might think it's half at first, but if you look carefully, we've got this flat edge. Yeah? If we rotate it, we'd expect it to have that point that the hexagon has, but it doesn't. So it doesn't actually match. At first glance it does, but that's why we need to look at things very carefully. And think about all the words that Gersima said when he was explaining it. He said the size of the shapes, the shading of the shapes. Yeah? Everything comes back to snaps, hence why snaps is really important. All right? We've got one more question to do. You're doing absolutely amazingly, guys. And just remember, right, if you're sitting there and you're hearing everyone get the answers right and maybe you're struggling a little bit, you need to remember that we all have our strengths and we all have things that we might need to work on a little bit. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. If you find this tough, at least you know it's something you need to practice, okay? All right, here's the final one, guys. Give this one a go. let's have a look at your answers. Perfect, Gesima. Perfect. Annabelle? Yes, Annabelle, that's fine. For those that don't know the answer, perfect, Izzy. Let me give you a clue. I would say that the part of snaps most relevant to this question is probably shading, but also position. So take a look at those things like specifically. Okay, right, shall we go through it? Okay, go on, Annabelle, can you tell me, how did you find the answer to be B?
So I found out the answer is B, because if we look at the image, the first image, there's three lines, and there's one line that is like dashed.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at B, it also has 3 lines and 1 dashed. Same with C, D, and E. And then I looked at the smaller shapes. The A, there are, for the dashed line, the 2 shapes that are next to the dashed line are both white.
Good.
And for C, for the dashed line, it's also 2 white. And for D, both of them are white next to the dashed line, and same with E. And I think B is the answer because it only has 1 white and 1 black. So I think B is the answer.
Very well explained. Perfect. Sorry, Annabelle, I muted you. Perfect. Yeah. So you would have gathered that from Annabelle's explanation, but for anyone that's a little bit confused, that dotted line, the dotted line that each object has, is always connecting 2 white shapes, except in B. So because B is the only one that doesn't follow that rule, it's odd. We don't have to go and find something else. It can't be anything else, yeah? Because 4 of them obey a rule and 1 doesn't. All right, well done, guys. I'm just going to stop recording, then I've got a question for you.